Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
You get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
But I'll tell you who is a complete piece of I'm going to tell you right now.
There have been a lot of swear words.
Tim Walz,
okay?
the governor of Minnesota, holding up a phone in front of a rally saying, well, we thought we were going to wake up and find out the president had died. Someday it'll happen. Someday it'll happen. I used to say he was the biggest buffoon in American politics, but it's worse now. No political official, no elected official should be walking around saying, well, I'm hoping we wake up one day and the president of the United States has died. Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yes, that's among the crazy news, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the first story, this Epstein story that the liberals refuse to let it go. In fact, I didn't even bother to print it. I saw a story, I think it was in The Hill. New York Representative Dan Goldman, who is suggesting that there's some there, Trump is trying to hide something. That's just this. Right. Anyway, there's a lot of Epstein in the news today, and for those of you that want Epstein news, I played the relevant cut. They're all trying to link Donald Trump to it. There's no there. There are demands. There was testimony on the Hill from some of the Epstein survivors. They've been on TV, and et cetera, et cetera. The big news today that is growing into a big story already is the strike that the U.S. military made on a Venezuelan group cartel. They say it's Tren de Agua, that was trying to bring in drugs to the country. It was a narco vessel. The U.S. struck the narco vessel. Boom. Bye. Boom, bye. The U.S. struck a cartel vessel in the Southern Caribbean transporting drugs Tuesday, marking the first shots by the American military in President Donald Trump's war against the cartels. And the president did say he was going to commit to a war against cartel the same kind of way we deal with other terrorists. The strike sank a vessel belonging to Venezuelan drug cartel Tren de Agua on Tuesday morning. 11 cartel members confirmed deaded in the attack. The strike carried out by the U.S. Southern Command. It was in international waters. 3 Aegis-class missile boats stationed alongside other assets that are going to do their best to disrupt the Latin American flow of drugs into America. No U.S. forces were harmed in this strike. Please let this service notice to anybody even thinking about bringing drugs into the United States of America. Beware. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Trump said on Truth Social last night. So he did say earlier this morning on his orders in the strike, the U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Agua narco-terrorist in the Southcom area of responsibility. TDA is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of, and we know that, Maduro. And Maduro has been making thinly veiled threats against the United States, saying that, he's going to defend our seas, our skies, our land, speaking of Venezuela. And he called the U.S. deployment of forces an outlandish and a bizarre threat of a declining empire. Well, if anything is declining, I would suggest one need look no further than Venezuela. Now, there are already voices lining up to do the usual, which is if President Trump does something, whatever action he takes, the TDS crowd immediately opens up. So I'm already seeing stories. I'm sure you are too. I'll find one during the break that I was searching for just now, which is that, well, what legal authority? What legal authority? There's another one in the New York Times. Is Venezuela flooding the U.S. with drugs? Here's what we need. The Trump administration says Venezuela is sending vast amounts of cocaine to the United States. Venezuela's role in the drug trade is overstated. Experts say. Experts. Anytime I see that sort of headline in one of these mainstream press locations, on one of these drive-by media types, experts say, it immediately causes me to question, who are your experts and why are they saying it? Because I don't believe anymore, experts say. For every expert the left can pull up to say something, there are other experts who say exactly the opposite, or that have a difference of opinion. This week, the move took a drastic turn. President Trump said Tuesday that U.S. forces had killed 11 people in a strike. He then posted a video that depicted the attack. Venezuela's government claimed without offering evidence the video was made with artificial intelligence. Maduro, at a news conference, called the Navy buildup the greatest threat that South America's continent has seen in the last 100 years. Venezuela, Times says, not a major producer of cocaine, but serves as a transit hub for it. The country's long porous border with Colombia, the world's largest producer along the coastline, provides traffickers with global marketplace access. Okay. So we also heard from the Presidente of Colombia. Presidente of Colombia, not happy. World's biggest cocaine-producing country calls Trump's narco vessel strike murder. It's murder. Colombian President Gustavo Petro said in the Post, translated by the Daily Caller News Foundation, that the pilots of the boat were likely poor young people. And that the killing was unjust because the transporters weren't the big narcos. Colombia is not only the world's largest exporter of cocaine, but also plays host to some of Latin America's most vicious cartels and the militias. We have been capturing civilians who transport drugs for decades without killing them, Petro said in his post. Those who transport drugs are not big narcos, but very poor young people from the Caribbean and the Pacific. I guess that's their version of saying people of color. It sounds like it to me. Those who transport drugs are not the big narcos, but very poor young people from the Caribbean and the Pacific. Oh, no. And there's the Donald Trump. Yeah. Cocaine exported a record high 2,664 metric tons of cocaine in 2023, according to UN stats. This president was formerly a member of the M19 militia, a Marxist militant group in Colombia that turned into a Marxist that's turned into the political leadership. He has been a long-standing critic of Donald Trump. And you know what? Marco Rubio saying, guess what? We did it. President Trump said we struck. It's going to cause the cartels to think twice. Rubio says it's going to happen again. We're not going to continue to let these nations continue to flood drugs into the United States of America unimpeded. They're just poor. They're just poor children from the Caribbean. Poor people. Well, the poor people should find another line of work unless they want to risk getting blown out of the water. And this is what I was looking for. This is the Washington Post, where journalism dies in broad daylight. Trump officials defend lethal strike on alleged Venezuelan drug boat. But the administration has not provided a legal authority or justification for the attack, which killed 11. These people cannot stand anything that Donald Trump does. I suppose, if you look at it from their point of view, the drug dealers, they probably agree with this guy, the president, the Marxist president of Colombia. Why, they're just poor people trafficking in drugs. Why are you bothering them? They should go for decades and decades and decades. We've just been arresting these guys and they just keep sending the drugs. But for decades, we've been doing it. We don't really try to stop. We just arrest them for decades, and then we just keep shipping cocaine and other drugs to your country. Yeah, we arrest a few of them. Well, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has some decisions to make after the strike. And one of the things that is said, we have tapes. The administration says that there are tapes they have of them speaking, I guess meaning Nicolas Maduro and some of these narcos. We have tapes. Massive amount of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. Everybody fully understands it. Bags of drugs all over the boat that they hit. Venezuela's been really bad, very bad, he said, both in terms of drugs and sending some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world in our country. And as you may remember, the president has declared war on the cartels, the drug cartels. So liberals are going to complain. They're already starting. They're already starting in the Washington Post to defend the drug dealers, the drug cartels that have been poisoning America, because Donald Trump hasn't provided a legal authority or no justification. He's just striking drug dealers with no justification whatsoever. The left will go to any means necessary to try to defend anybody, any illegal criminal, all illegal criminal activity. They will defend it all if Donald Trump is trying to stop it. These people are they should be embarrassed, but they are not. They don't even have the consciousness to be embarrassed by their actions, by what they're putting in print. James Golden, Snerdley, we're coming back. Whatever you do, don't go away. Fastest hour in American media, right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
I grew up in the suburbs, and I've never had to deal with gun violence until I was older and in my mid-20s when I moved to Chicago once my father passed away. My mother's originally from Chicago. And the fact of seeing seniors getting killed, our children getting killed, mothers getting killed, young men getting killed, and we are not getting any help at all. It's starting to become normalized, and that is not normal.
And you know what else isn't normal? the number of drug-addicted deaths, the numbers of crime that have been going on in this country for decades now. It has become, in a way, normal for Democrats. This is the way it is. In fact, you have television series like The Wire, it's, wow, look at this. This is so real. Not that it should exist, but it's so real. And so when President Trump decides that that he wants to go after violence, whether it's in American blue cities where violences dominate, or whether it's on the high seas, attacking this drug cartel, these drug cartels. What is the reflex of liberals, folks? To defend the drug dealers, defend the sources, the root causes of this criminality, because it's Donald Trump. I read through these stories. The AP, in announcing the strike, Trump said the operation, which he said killed 11, was carried out in international waters. But then he goes on. This AP story goes on. We found, they quote some expert, supposedly, from Insight Crime, which last month published a 64-page report on the gang based on 2 years' worth of their research. We found no direct participation of TDA in transnational drug trade. Really? Like they know the ins and outs of everything. But yet, this is who gets it. The drugs were on the way. Our intelligence spotted the drugs coming into America. They were blown up. But now, because Trump did it, the left will second-guess everything. Well, I'm not second-guessing it at all. The only thing I'm saying is, in terms of dealing with these druggies, about time.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, back here with you. Can I just ask you a question? And don't infer anything from this. Do you get bored listening to this music?
Not really. Not really.
This isn't boring to you?
No. I don't know why, but no.
I don't know why either. Okay, it's Justin Timberlake, folks. Yeah. You know, where's Philip? Asked Philip if this is my bad or this is just me. I thought we had a conversation in here from Mark Halperin and some of his compatriots talking about the New York mayor's race. I don't see it, and I'm looking for it because I wanted to call it to your attention, and I don't know whether we have it in there or not. But let me tell you something. This conversation went on and on and on. It's a long conversation, but what is going on is quite interesting when it comes to the New York. We have it? Let's just play a little of it, Carlos, and no, we can't play it. Oh, wrong link. Okay, I sent the wrong thing, and I'm sorry. We'll have to deal with it tomorrow then. But Mark Halperin and company had a conversation, and I thought that this was, maybe Adams is going to drop out. You found it. Let's just play a little bit of it, folks, and just see what you think about this.
All right. My inbox is filled with chatter that Mayor Adams is going to get out of the mayoral race. I don't know that it's true. I'm not reporting that he's getting out. I'm just telling you a lot of people are saying he's going to get out, and these are people with some reason to know. We'll see what happens, but don't be surprised if he's out of the race before 2-way tonight. What he's been promised, why I think that's in his interest, will be much discussed. This is a guy who likes to trade things. Dan, what are the implications if he gets out?
It would be absolutely massive because it would allow potentially another block of voters to move over to Cuomo. Now the one left, I think, is the easiest one to move. Now you just say to Donald Trump and the Republican Party and Steve Witkoff and all the people there who seriously don't want Mamdani to be elected, you need to find an off-ramp for Curtis Sliwa. So he may become the ambassador to something. He may get appointed to, some sort of position. But
and Dan, any doubt in your mind that if it's effectively a one-on-one race, because the fifth guy got out yesterday, if it's a one-on-one race, who would you make the favorite? Just one-on-one Cuomo versus Mamdani?
Andrew Cuomo, because I have said this since July 1st. Mamdani cannot get above 40%. He cannot. He has not moved in 2.5 months. And that's at 60% of New York.
Because I'm going to go switch gears right now to the New York Times story. Here's a story in the New York Times today. Trump advisors have discussed a job for Adams if he quits the mayor's race. The conversations have also involved Curtis Sliwa, with the goal of giving Andrew Cuomo a better chance of defeating Zohran Mamdani in November. Advisors to President Trump have discussed the possibility of giving Mayor Eric Adams of New York City a position in the administration as a way. I know what they should make him. They should make him the czar of Chicago. They should put him in charge of the whole thing and cleaning up Chicago. That's what they should make Eric Adams do, become the Chicago czar. I mean, working with Tom Homan and Chris. Why are you shaking your head no? I think it would be highly symbolic.
I don't know, like take you from one big city, put you in another one.
Yeah, exactly. Make him the face of change in Chicago. I think it would be a great idea. Put Eric Adams as the Chicago czar. Put him up against Brandon Johnson and Pritzker and Christie and Dick Durbin. Yeah. The talks have involved finding a possible place in the administration for the Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. Now, in this New York Times story, they quote Keita as they quote Curtis Sliwa as saying that he's not interested in anything else but New York, et cetera, et cetera. But keep your eye on this, folks. Brewing. And John Catsimatidis, by the way, is quoted in the New York Times article saying that he's spoken with Trump about the race. He said he spoke with him last Sunday, and that Donald Trump's very concerned. How do they say it? This is for all the tea in China. This is serious. Mamdani was talking about, now there's another article today about how Mamdani is trying to soften some of his more radical approaches to politics and his radical solutions. Keeping our eye on that. I want to get back to Chicago. Because the talk... yes, sir. Yes, Carlos.
What, improvement by a political person is going to make him get over that 40%?
That is the big fear. Now, look, it's not to say that he can't...
Endorsement is the word I was looking for.
There are no endorsements, I believe. Look, endorsements have limited value in my book. Are they valuable to some... People are going to vote for this guy, either or not. They're not going to vote for him because someone else says vote for him. They're going to vote for him because they either like what he's saying or for any other number of reasons. I don't think the endorsements make a huge... in some races, they may count a little bit. Like, for instance, I think the Robert Kennedy endorsement of Trump helped, because he was coming into the administration and bringing people in based on what he wanted to accomplish. That was a helpful political endorsement. He had his own hardcore followers that saw giving Trump their vote a way to do something or accomplish something politically that they wanted to happen. That was a real endorsement. But your average Joe Blow politician that no one cares about, anybody saying, oh, please vote for this guy, I don't think most people care about endorsements like that.
So if let's say Brad Landner was like a little bit better, doing better in the polls, and then he got out and he endorsed Mamdani, which, I mean, would that, like...
Who?
Like doing higher than what he...
Who?
Brad
Yeah, see, that's the problem. So who cares what he... Brad who? He said I should do what? Yeah, okay. Thanks, Brad. Don't let the doorknob hit you. Where the good Lord split you. Bye, Brad. Okay, Chicago. Carlos, let's go through these while we have time. We got a bunch of Chicago. Let's start with Hakeem Jeffries. Asked about Chicago. We can't play the whole thing. 2 minutes 19. He's boring, but we'll play the beginning of it for you because they're asking about it. Cut 6. Hakeem Jeffries asked about Trump and Chicago. And by the way, the reporter that asked him this was from Daily Caller, which was interesting. Anyway,
you said that you would be opposed to having an extension of the National Guard's presence here. Since the crackdown began, carjackings have dropped 66%, and robberies have dropped 28%, and violent crime 15%. And you've been opposed to this since their presence here began, but are Democrats finding themselves on the wrong side of this issue at all with such reports? They're a bit beneficial.
I had a very good conversation with the mayor of the District of Columbia. I'm going to continue to support her position. Every single area of criminal activity that you mentioned was on the way down prior to the arrival of the National Guard. I'm going to continue to personally support the Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia. I'm going to support the Chicago Police Department, the New York Police Department, and police officers who protect and serve all across the country. And if those local police departments conclude that they want some support from the federal government, then I support that effort by those local police departments to partner with the federal government. It's as simple as that. Donald Trump.
Yeah. Now he goes on his Trump rant. Okay, fine. So that's the way he's covering it. But, of course, he just cannot come out and say this is a great idea by Trump and they should do it in Chicago. So let's go to Chicago and talk to that mayor, Brandon Johnson. 9% approval rating, I believe the last time I heard. Maybe it's higher these days. I'm not sure. Anyway, cut 7, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson.
However, I also want to be clear about this. There are measures that the federal government can take right now to help continue to drive down violence and crime in our city. We need the federal government to stop the endless flow of guns into our state and into our city. Chicago police officers have taken more than 24,000 guns, illegal guns, off the streets of Chicago since I've taken office. Over 24,000 illegal guns taken off the streets of Chicago since I've been in office. They have worked hard every single day to make our city safer, and they've made historic progress. However, we will never be able to end gun violence in Chicago as long as the president continues to allow tens of thousands of guns to be trafficked into our state and our city.
Okay.
The vast majority of guns.
So it's the president's fault. He's allowing guns to be trafficked in. So it's not the criminals in Chicago, by the way. The criminals in Chicago are innocent. The murderers in Chicago are innocent. The rapists who use guns in Chicago, they're innocent. It is not the fault of the criminals who commit crime. It's the fault of the people that make the guns. That's the problem, not the criminals who use it. Let's go to ex-mayor Lori Lightfoot really quickly. Cut 8, and let's hear her.
If he really cared about violent crime, go after the gun manufacturers who are just mass producing these weapons and have no liability or accountability. Go after the gun stores that know that they're selling to straw purchasers that flood into our city. Pass common sense gun reform that we have been begging for decades. Those are the kinds of things that actually would make a meaningful difference in violent crime. He's not talking about any of those things. He will not do any of those things.
People don't walk around saying, I feel 22% safer. What do you think people feel like is happening in Chicago?
Well, I tell you one thing they feel like. They feel like there are too damn many guns in Chicago, and they're coming in from other states like Indiana. federal government want to help us stop this flow of weapons into our city of Chicago and state of Illinois. We know they're coming in from state with lax laws when it comes to firearms, and the federal government can do something about it. What has this president done about it? He's dramatically eliminated the people who are supposed to make sure these gun dealers are held to the law. That's an important step to really reduce the crime in the area and reduce the concern of local officials.
And my coworker was standing above me saying, "You're okay. We're in the hospital. You've been assaulted."
She then passed out again.
The next thing I remember is my daughter, Deanna, saying, "Hi, Mama. I'm here. You're okay."
And while she doesn't remember what happened, a colleague who was walking with her at the time told her this.
She had said this man came in between the two of us, shoved us apart, and then hit me in the face.
That punch left Miles with several broken bones in her face, as well as a concussion. According to police, she was assaulted by 32-year-old William Livingston. A record search produced 13 mugshots of Livingston going back to 2012. A large number of those arrests for aggravated assault and battery of both women and police officers, something Miles found out after the fact.
Like, what is enough? You know, what does someone have to do where he's going to be, they're going to be held accountable?
According to online
And this story goes on, my friends. This is a typical story from where? Chicago. This guy, they show his picture, 13 different mugshots, 13 attacks in and out of jail in Chicago. This beating of this poor woman happened downtown Chicago. She's lucky she escaped with her life. But what do? Oh, our criminals, we have good criminals. You see, it's the gun manufacturers that are bad. And states, those red states, that state, Indiana, they're so bad. They keep sending guns here. And our poor little innocent criminals get stuck. They get forced to use those guns that come in from Indiana. But it's not their fault. We have good criminals here in Chicago. It's the gun manufacturers to blame. It's the gun people to blame. Not the fact that we endorse criminal behavior because we let them out on the damn streets as soon as we pull them in. We have good criminals in Chicago. That's the line. You heard Dick Durbin, Lightfoot, Brandon Johnson. It goes to Pritzker. None of these Democrats will condemn the criminals. It's like supply and demand doesn't exist. The only reason that you have guns coming into the state is because you have criminals who want them. And if they didn't get them from wherever you claim they're getting them from, they get them from somewhere else. You know why? They're criminals. Why is it so difficult for these people? No. It cannot be this difficult for these people to comprehend and understand this. James Golden, Snerdley, don't go away. Keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am in the midst of a huge online debate, and it's a very friendly debate, with Princess Diana, with Lady Benedict, and myself. We're all talking about this article that was in the New York Times and Halpern on the mayor, Adams, suggesting he might drop out. Now, Princess Diana advises me that Adams has been offered a position at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, according to a person with direct knowledge of the offer who was granted anonymity to speak candidly about the sensitive matter. The mayor, who has a friendly working and political relationship with Trump, met with the president's team during his visit Monday to Florida. So, Adams in consultation. Now, we both said, and I'm going to just be blunt, HUD? Oh, hell no. That's the black job. That's the black job they always shove off the black cabinet Republicans. Put the black guy over in HUD. Put him there. They've already got the black guy in HUD. Adams can't be second fiddle. His Scott Turner. Adams can't be second fiddle to Scott Turner. I think they need to make him the tip of the spear. Oh, that's so racist. They need to make him the tip of the spear in the big city cleanup. Or Princess Di says they should appoint him ambassador to District of Columbia. We got to go. God bless, protect each and every single one of you. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?